Like, how did you find out you had it?
It took me 14 years to get a diagnosis.
14 years?
14 years.
Okay. So what happened at the beginning of the 14 years? Like, what was the first?
At the beginning, my symptoms displayed themselves in my knees. So my knees started getting swollen.
Just around the knees, or did it spread to?
It did start spreading. So once I had my first son, so while I was breastfeeding him, my symptoms went away.
Yeah.
And then when he got a little bit older, they came back with a vengeance, and they started progressing to my back.
Okay.
And then after my back, it was my shoulders and my neck.
And all without any formal diagnosis. So how old were you when your knees started, when it first started presenting itself?
I was in my late 20s.
Okay.
So I just got married.
Yeah.
And then in my 30s, it started progressing into other places. So that's when it started in my back, and then my shoulders and my neck. And then it also started progressing to my hands and my wrists.
Right. So day to day, how would that work? What happened day to day when you were in that state?
The pain, just incredible pain,
Yeah.
incredible stiffness. I would get out of bed like an old lady, like a hunched old lady, and not be able to move. I managed day to day, but it was incredibly difficult. Just going to work and getting upstairs, I found really difficult. And when it came to looking after my kids, just doing simple activities with them, and they knew me as somebody who couldn't do things. I couldn't run. I couldn't do things with them at the park.
And
my youngest was like, "Why can't you run, Mummy? Why can't you run?" So it impacted every single part of my life, from sleeping at night, just being in incredible pain and not being able to sleep very well, and that impacts on your day-to-day life just because you're so tired.
So all at the same time, you had 2 kids.
Yep.
You had knees, back, neck, and hands all in trouble, and you were working.
Yes, but interestingly, while I was pregnant, my symptoms disappeared. So pregnancy seems to, just for me, calm them down.
Okay.
And once the pregnancy hormones leave your body, then I'd be hit by a massive flare. So when my youngest was 9 months old, I woke up one day and I couldn't move. I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't even pick my son out of his cot. And I didn't know what it was. And I later learned that was a flare. It was a full body flare.
Yeah. So how long does the flare last for?
It's different every single time. So, I mean, they can last days, they can last months.
You just can't plan around them.
You can't plan around them. And
you're just out of the game entirely.
Once I had a diagnosis, once I knew that it was AS, and now I'm on medication, which means that I'm relatively flare-free.
Yeah.
So I'm not in pain now.
Yeah.
I can wake up in the morning and I can get out of bed and live a relatively normal life. I can do things with my kids. I even started running again.
Okay.
So the biologic medication I'm on now has definitely given me.
But it took 14 years. What happened when you finally got a diagnosis? How did you get to that point?
Diagnosis was done via blood test and MRI scan and X-ray. And in doing that, they found that I was HLA-B27 positive, and they found inflammation on my neck and in my hips, and obviously inflammation to my knees.
What does HLA-27 be?
HLA-B27.
HLA-B27.
It's a gene that shows that you are more at risk of developing AS. It doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to get it, but it means that it is more prevalent.
That's how they pick it up, essentially. That's how they know you might have it.
That's one of the tests that they do to help diagnose it. Doesn't mean that everybody who has AS is HLA-B27 positive, but it's a huge marker for it.
Right.
So that combined with an MRI and X-rays is the way that they get a diagnosis.
So how long has it been now since the diagnosis?
I got a formal diagnosis on the 2nd of January in 2019.
Yeah, it's in the diary. Okay, yeah.
That's a
big date for you.
Marked on my calendar.
I mean, that's not that long ago.
It's not, no, but the transformation since then, because now I know the condition that I've got, it explains so much, and I can understand it now. And because of that, I'm under a fantastic rheumatology team, and I'm on medication, which has helped me live a normal life. To be pain-free, to be able to sleep at night,
of course,
is just incredible. That I live a very normal life. I can do things with my kids. And so I started doing the couch to 5K with my eldest son. Right. So I've gone from not being able to run for 14 years to running 5K, which was a huge
That's incredible.
And that's all thanks to the medication and having a proper diagnosis.
Axial spondyloarthritis, or axial SpA for short, is an inflammatory condition of the spine and joints. It works silently, leaving people in increasing pain and exhaustion. It's surprisingly common. More people live with axial SpA than MS and Parkinson's combined. Could your persistent lower back pain be axial SpA? If your symptoms started slowly before the age of 40, if your back pain improves with movement, if you're waking in pain during the night, you could have axial SpA. Visit www.ActOnAxialSpA.com to check your symptoms. See your GP to get a diagnosis.